Today we talk about Treasure Hunter by Richard Garfield. I'm sure you recognize the name of the designer. You may not recognize the name of the game. This is not a game that has received a lot of buzz. I personally had never heard about it until I picked it up on Amazon. There was a day or two that a lot of games by Queen Games were available for ridiculous prices on Amazon. I think this was like $10, $12. I checked now and I saw it's like over $30, which makes more sense, but I don't know, keep an eye out. Maybe they'll again lower the price for this game and for other games by Queen. I had no idea it wasn't labeled as a sale or anything, but I was able to pick up this game here. And after trying it, I have to tell you, this game deserves more love than it has received. Because, again, as far as I know, this is not a game that has been particularly popular or talked about. Treasure Hunter. It is a drafting game a la Sushi Go / Seven Wonders. And in terms of complexity, falls between the two. More complex than Sushi Go, less than Seven Wonders. But in this game, you're using the drafting mechanic to form a party of heroes that then you send out to look for treasures, hence the title. So here you have a board that you use to organize the treasures that you're trying to collect, but also I like this element. As you're out there looking for treasures, there are goblins that will try to raid your camp that you have left unguarded, and they may steal coins from you. So during the game, you are using cards to form a powerful hand of heroes, adventurers, but also you will want to keep some dogs out there to protect the treasures that you previously found. The game is played in 5 rounds, as you see from that round track there, and you have large stack of treasures. It's really huge stack of treasures, which is great because that means that in each game you will not use all of them. You will not be able to know in advance which treasures will actually be used and which ones will be out of play in each given game. At the beginning of each round, you draw 6 random treasures and you place them in these 6 spaces here. Oh, nice configuration already. As you can see, there are 3 spaces for 3 different areas: mountains, jungle, and volcano / lava cave. Then you take 3 tiles from this goblin pile here, and you place them here in this area. And then you shuffle these cards, you give each player a hand of cards, and then you go again, Sushi Go 7 Wonders style. Each player will select a card from their hands, will put it down in front of themselves, will give their hand of cards to somebody. Somebody gives them the one that they had. You select another card, you put it down, and you continue like this until there are no cards in anybody's hand anymore, but everybody has a bunch of cards face down in front of themselves, and those are the cards that will actually be used. At that point, players reveal their cards face up. They will probably want to sort them, and then you start using them. As you can see, many cards are adventurers that have a number on top that represents the strength, force, adventuring, questing values, whatever you want to call it. The higher the number, the better the adventure of looking for treasures. And also they're color-coded. So the red ones will go look for treasures here, green and blue. So starting from here, players simply reveal the adventures that they have in that category for that color, and they compare the numbers, they compare the results. Suppose I have this number and my opponent has this number here, and then we have another opponent with this number here. Now, as you can see, each area has 2 treasures, and each area is then divided in 2 sub-areas. One is called max and one is called min. And it works exactly like you think it does, maximum and minimum. The player that has the highest value gets the maximum treasure labeled as maximum, and the player with the lowest value, in this case 3, gets the minimum. Now, the tiles are shuffled together, the treasure tiles are shuffled together at the beginning and played completely randomly. So as you can see, it may entirely be possible that the minimum value is much better than the maximum value. So now players, as they're drafting cards and retaining cards, they're actually trying to get the lowest score possible in that category, and they don't want to get stuck with a high card. It may even be like you have here in the jungle that some items have a negative value, cursed values that will make you lose victory points. Then you have other cards that do not simply generate a straightforward value in terms of points like you have here, but cards that need to be matched with certain conditions to generate points. For example, this tile here, if you get it, will generate 3 coins for each 7, 8, or 9 that you have. Then, you know, maybe having an 8 here and you get a high value here is not ideal, but you're building up towards this score here if you then get the lowest value in the green category. So a very interesting range of effects here, from straightforward treasures, which are the very different value, cursed items, other tiles that will trigger different effects and score differently. This one, for example, will give you 2 coins for each green card that you have. This one gives you coins for each coin cards that you have. So very nice range of effects, also very nice tiles, very good quality. So you go through all of these areas here, assigning the minimum and the maximum tile to whoever has the minimum or the maximum. By the way, I showed you adventurers that just have a number and a color, but there are also cards that have a couple of other effects. For example, this card here, if you spend 3 coins, can add 8 points to your attack value in that area. There are other cards that will lower your value, other cards that multiply your value in a certain category. A couple of coins that simply, well, you score at the end of the round as coins, and coins are victory points pretty much. The player that has the most coins at the end of the game wins the game. This one, magic sword, that's +4, which is great because it doesn't belong to any specific area, so you can assign it to an adventurer going to any of the areas. So you have this very simple idea, min and max, plus a couple of interesting effects here. This one simply annuls the value of a card. So you go through all of this, and then you assign these tiles, but then alas, you have to deal with the goblins that are raiding or trying to raid your camp as you are out adventuring. And this is when you use your dogs. So as you're preparing your hand of adventurers and worrying about these, is also good to save some dogs for yourself in your area as you're drafting, so that when we're revealing after using the cards, we can use the dogs. The dogs have a value here, call it what defensive value. I don't remember what the technical term is, and it doesn't really matter because you know what that means. This is the value that they can defend against. The goblins have an attack value printed there, and that is the number of dog points that it takes to keep that goblin group away. For example, if at the end of the drafting, after we are done with this phase here, we move on to this phase here, I only have this dog here, and I'll be able to defend against this goblin group and this goblin group because their attack value is 1. So I need to match or exceed the number on a party tile to be able to defend against, but I will not be able to defend against this party here. And when I cannot defend against a party, I need to pay the corresponding value there. Also, the game comes with a generous amount of coins and treasure tiles. So I take 2 from my supply and I need to put it there. So and if I had 0 dogs, then I would have to put a corresponding coin on all of these. With 3 dogs, I would be able to stop that. After the players that were not able to defend themselves have put the coins there, however, the dogs of the player will defeat all of these guys, or some of them, because after you're done checking this, the player with the highest total number of points in the dog category gets to grab all of the tiles of the goblins that they were able to defend against. So, for example, suppose it's me and I have 3 and I have the highest. I was able to defend against all of these goblins here. Then I get all of these tiles, including the coins that the people put there. And these, I flip them face down and they're worth a coin each at the end of the game. Once we're done with that, the round is over. We move to the next round and we prepare the board again. We set up this section with 6 new treasures. We place 3 goblins. We give each player a hand of cards and we are good to go again. Draft, grab the treasures, check the goblins. Well, at the end you also have a little bit of administrative phase, upkeeping, when you convert, for example, coin cards in actual coins, you resolve other effects. But it's the general idea. You continue drafting, collecting treasures, defending against goblins, scooping up goblins and the coins that they stole from your friends for 5 rounds, and at that point the player that collected the most treasure, the wealthiest player, is the winner of the game. I like this game, I like it quite a bit. I like its intermediate level of complexity, which however may also be why the game hasn't received more attention than it has. Maybe because it didn't fit a niche exactly, didn't find an audience that was perfectly tailored to what the game has to offer. But I like the fact that with a little bit of effort, you can actually play with a lot of different people. I mean, I played with my daughter Amelia, who is 6. At the beginning, there were a lot of icons to take into account, and the strategy wasn't obvious, but she figured out quite easily when she needed to have a lot of points in a category and not so many in others. She also is very good at always collecting dogs, so she was just scooping up all of the goblins and scoring a lot of points there, which is the same reason why she always wins a King of Tokyo, because she is a much more cautious player than I am. She always has her defenses up, like just reckless, and then she wins. So a 6-year-old can definitely play this game, but definitely, again, with some adjustments, not just in terms of rules, just a little bit of, helping her out. But I also see how this can definitely please the 7 Wonders type of crowd, the hobby gamer crowd. So to me it's great because I can really see myself playing this game with adults and without any problem and simply enjoying it. With them it'll become more of like a filler, it's an extended filler, more than just a filler, but not a big thing, a big endeavor either. So I like the flexibility, but again, it just may be that precisely its intermediate nature made it such that they couldn't label it, they couldn't target it exactly. And so it fell sort of like between the cracks. But I like it. I like the fact that the pace is fast, like you have in drafting games. So everybody's playing at the same time, so you do not have analysis paralysis there, not much at least. Then I really like the twist that you have with the fact that sometimes you want to have a low value in a category and a very high one. Also, you have to think across categories, because there may be a low value in a category that allows me to get a great tile, but it's one of those tiles that really give you a lot of points if you have cards of another type. So when I have a low value in that category while also having a lot of cards, say, that are green, or a lot of cards that are 7, 8, or 9, while at the same time trying not to forget about the dogs. So there are a lot of things that you have to take into account, so that you have to keep in mind. That really makes making decisions in the game not trivial and quite interesting, without making the game overwhelming at all, without making it too complicated. So to me, it really hits a soft spot, because there is enough complexity that I'm excited and I want to make decisions, and I feel that my decisions are rewarded and pay off, while at the same time the game still feel and really is a light game, light plus, but that doesn't even get to a medium level of complexity. Definitely, it's very light, very smooth. So I like it. I enjoyed it. I like the twists. I like the ideas. I like the different things that you have to take into account. And after a little bit of explanation, how really intuitive everything feels, while at the same time still having, for example, I really like the fact that you have many different effects that allow you to play a couple of surprise effects here and there to modify things. Again, this idea, again, with all the effects, falls within the same picture that I already delineated. Enough stuff, but not too much. To me, just right. So I think it's a great game. I really hope that after my review, a couple more people will want to try it because it's really fun. More sophisticated and with more meat than Sushi Go. Probably there's a pun somewhere in there because Sushi Go is about sushi and the meat, whatevs. But not as complicated and demanding as Seven Wonders. Hey, Seven Wonders is a great game, but you know it's hard to get new players to play it. First, because it takes a game just because they figure out the mechanics and the scoring, and then another game because before they figure out how to play the game well. So first learn about the mechanics and the scoring, then about the strategy. And the third game, oh, then it's fun. For them and for you also, because if the only player that really is proficient, then there's not much enjoyment in there. When you teach this game to new players, I'm sure that especially if you teach it to adults, they'll be playing the real game from the beginning. I mean, I had this experience with my daughter who is 6. I haven't played with adults yet, but I don't see any problem there. It just feels more intuitive without feeling bland, without feeling too simplistic. To me, Treasure Hunter is a really good game. I hope more people will try it. It's a game that, is for when you don't quite feel like playing Seven Wonders, but Sushi Go wouldn't do either. Then Treasure Hunter is just the perfect experience in between that kind of like gets you the best of both worlds, I believe, without any of the negatives. Treasure Hunter by Richard Garfield, Queen Games. Give it a try. I was pleasantly surprised by this game.